want to introduce our guest speaker. John Haydon is somebody that I've followed for a number of years as an authority on social media marketing. I think we connected when the Facebook first introduced its Facebook Pages product, which became the way that they allowed businesses to establish their identity online. And he was all over some of the early tricks for how people gained attention through that. But Facebook Live has actually become one of the things that he finds is most engaging. John is the author of the book, Facebook Marketing for Dummies, but his regular consulting practice is really focused on social media marketing of all types for nonprofit organizations. And he told me that gives him a nice blend of creativity as well as feeling that he is doing something to serve the greater good and help these nonprofit organizations accomplish their missions. So John, I'm going to turn it over to you and take it away.
Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for inviting me. I really appreciate it. I have a question for Christian, who I guess is kind of listening. So if I say too many times, you're going to stop me, right?
No, I will not stop you, sir. I will just give you a report at the end of the session. So don't fear. Enjoy your session.
Cool. Thank you so much. All right. Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen. And again, I'm really sorry about the video piece. I don't know what's happening, but I don't want to spend too much time on that anyhow, because guess what? My face adds no value here. Okay. You can look at my face actually every Wednesday. I do something called I call it the Hump Day Coffee Break. And what I do is I share a very specific marketing tip for nonprofits that takes like 15 minutes and then Q&A, and then we're out. We go back to work. Coffee break is over, right? So I'll share, for example, how to create a sense of urgency in your fundraising without being pushy. How to do that. That sort of specific problem that I think a lot of nonprofits have. That's an example. So again, I work with nonprofits. I wrote Facebook Marketing for Dummies. Here's the intro. David actually did a much better intro than me anyhow, so I'm going to skip this. Thank you so much, David. We're going to cover some specific things here. So what is Facebook Live? Most of you already know. I just want to kind of set a level playing field in terms of our knowledge. Well, I'm going to talk about how to get started. Some creative examples, which will be more so nonprofit, obviously, nonprofits. And then specific tips, actually about 11 or 12 different tips for you guys when you're ready to start your first broadcast. How to make the best, the best first attempt. All right, preparation and all that stuff. So, and please, whoever's supposed to be interrupt me whenever. If I'm messing up, if I'm not making any sense, please just somehow say something, please. Okay. So what is Facebook Live? Basically, Facebook Live lets any person or organization, business, broadcast video live streaming. We've probably heard about Facebook Live in the news. Someone unfortunately broadcasted the murder of her boyfriend in a car. Other people are broadcasting different things. There was that woman with the Chewbacca mask, Halloween, remember? She broadcasted the ungifting of her, or the unboxing of the Chewbacca mask, and she was really happy with it, and that thing went viral. So what's different about broadcasting is that really the key in terms like a marketing thing is that it is happening now, just like live TV. You want to watch the New Year's Eve ball drop in New York City. You're not going to watch the recording. You kind of have to be there while it's happening, right? So that's the point with Facebook Live is to think about it's really, this is happening now. Now, because of that, Facebook has an algorithm that essentially runs the whole news feed, decides who's going to see what, and so forth. There's a lot to it, but one key factor in the Facebook Live broadcast is Facebook realizes this is happening now. So a publisher, whether it's a Facebook page, like a business, a pet store, a nonprofit, a public speaker, whatever it is, Facebook recognizes, okay, this is happening now because it's a live broadcast, so I'm going to distribute this to more and more people that are likely to be interested. You know, so if someone's already engaging with you, they're liking your posts and so forth, and you have an audience, they're gonna get a notification. In other words, it spreads much more throughout Facebook, and that's what's pretty powerful. It's fairly easy to actually do a Facebook Live broadcast in your own personal profile. You can simply click on live. You know, they've enhanced the user interface, and it's different for different users depending upon country and and other things. But essentially, you open up this app and you hit go live. Okay, so from a technology standpoint, it's relatively easy to use. They do have filters like Snapchat-like filters, and you can shift from. You could flip the view horizontally. So if you're presenting a book, hey, you guys should read this book. You want to make sure that the type is going in the right direction. So you can do that. You can make it brighter, you know, affect filters and all that. But that's fairly easy to figure out, right? But the key is, how do you get started? And again, here's an example of a Facebook page with a live button. You just hit the button. You write your broadcast, describe your live broadcast. You want to make it very specific about what the topic is. You can't really use a lot of text here. Think half of a tweet at the most, okay? And it's got to be really super specific, right to the point. Let me just show you a couple of examples, and then we'll talk about the steps that you can do to get started on your own very easily, okay? So, and I want to reinforce the point I made earlier about this is happening now. You have to be here now. For example, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, what they do is they actually do live tours. You know, they'll do an unpacking of an exhibit with the artist. This is happening now. The artist isn't going to be here all the time. If you want to see this, you have to be there now. You know, this aspect of being there now. They can live broadcast restorations, really give people a very intimate behind-the-scenes connection to the organization, which nonprofits and I'm sure many businesses are so often seeking. You know, how can I create a more intimate experience for my prospects, my customers, and so forth? So that's one example from a museum, right? Very easy to do. What they did was they have stuff that they want people to see. That's a no-brainer to me. Okay, great. Let's give people a tour. Let's show people the art, okay? Another one, Museum of National Astronomics and Space Administration. You know, these guys are broadcasting live as the Juno mission is going on the way to Jupiter, right? You would want to be there. This is, you know, again, the attraction is live. It's happening. You want to be there. And these are just my ideas. Science organizations, they can have a series of Facebook Live videos. I've worked with a couple of organizations like that, and they basically demystify common misunderstandings, common misperceptions about any sort of number of topics, right? There's an animal shelter here, an animal, Best Friends of Animal Society, actually, and they live broadcast when a new animal arrives. Here's the new horse coming off the truck, and here she is. You know, people want to be there now. They can live broadcast feeding sessions. One of my favorites is, I know several. This is an easy one, like low-hanging fruit. Broadcast the puppy, the pen of puppies or kittens, cute puppies. Broadcast that maybe a couple times per week during lunch. So it's like a stress relief. Look at the puppies. You've had a rough day. Here's our puppy cam. You're going to feel a lot better after you look at the puppy cam. Okay. So just, you know, creative ways to engage their followers. This one is actually pretty funny, and I would recommend this to a community farm or, you know, any kind of organization that focuses on teaching kids. BuzzFeed, they had tremendous engagement on this one. 10 million, almost 11 million views of this video. And that was a while ago. That was back in April. All they did, so silly, they took a watermelon and they said, let's see how many rubber bands we can put around the watermelon before it explodes. And they kept counting, building up that anticipation. Is it going to break now? And finally the thing explodes. It doesn't make any sense why people would be interested in it, but people were definitely interested in it. It's totally inspiration. When is it going to, you know, expectation, is it going to break now? That, and it kind of builds up. And of course, as more people, check this out. So as more people, you can't really see it here, but as people come into this video and they comment, You know, I bet there's 5 more. Wow, you know, where'd you get that watermelon? Oh no, anytime soon. You know, people making just random comments. As they do that, the broadcast itself gets pushed out to their friends. That's the real key with Facebook Live, is that as people comment and engage with the video, it gets kind of broadcast further throughout Facebook's newsfeed. Here is a story time on the steps of the New York Public Library. You know, they're just basically reading story time. Again, this is, I recommend to all my clients, you know, don't invent something just to use Facebook Live. Find something you're already doing and just put it on Facebook Live. Don't create any extra work, but just, you know, set up a camera, have a simple plan, and why not broadcast this thing that's already happening, like story time. You've already promoted it. Let's take that and distribute it further. Let's, you know, give it more attention. So any questions at all, please type in the chat, but I'm just going to keep going, okay? So tips for your first broadcast. The first one is, of course, don't freak out. Now, the reality is this is live. It's live broadcasting, and I can tell you honestly, I remember my first, either it was my first one or second one, I just froze. I actually just got into this weird mental state, and I was like, oh, I'm on camera, and I was stuck. I just shut it down and bailed. You know, so that can happen. But the reality is, if you will feel nervous, you will possibly make a mistake. You'll definitely live, though. This will not kill you, okay? Guaranteed. There are many things in the world that will kill you. This is not it, okay? So you're safe, you're warm, you're well-fed. It's not a big deal. But it's naturally, it might be nervous. So what I recommend is people that want to kind of, they're a little bit more shy and they're hesitant, maybe a little bit more conservative with their approach, just to do a dry run with a small group, maybe a small group of friends you can invite, and then ask yourself, how's the video quality? How's the audio quality? Practice talking to people. Hey, Bill, thanks for showing up. Hey, people leave a comment, read the comment, you know, and test out other features, you know, kind of make your mistakes in a smaller group if you're comfortable that way. If you're a little bit more risk averse, just do what I did and just go live and figure it out after you hit the live button. So number 3, pick a topic that people want to discuss, okay? Now, I work with nonprofits. Nonprofits are so hung up on, we have to educate our donors. If, oh, this is such a critical issue. You know, let's say, you know, the fracking, oh my, people need to know about that. And because that's their job, that's what they do, that's what they live and breathe, they assume that everybody else is interested in fracking. But it's not true. They're interested in something different, something specific. So it's always really important to understand the audience first. That's what you're really focusing on. Are there any topics or news that's interesting to them? Any questions, like frequent questions that they are struggling with, they're trying to answer? Think about an insider view. So if you're involved in retail, or if you have a business where you bring people in, my brother, he is a real estate agent on Long Island. This guy is fearless of video. It's amazing. I'm so impressed with him. And he's not really that tech savvy, but he will just open up Facebook Live and walk through a house. Here's a house. Check it out. Look at the tree in the backyard. Couldn't you just see yourself having a picnic back there with your family? It's so great. I mean, he's like the consummate salesperson, live broadcasting, you know? But what he does is he gives people an insider view. Here's the house. You don't have to come here and see it. I'm going to show you the house. We're going to do this together, just you and me. That's his approach. So pick a topic that people want to discuss. Tell people when you're going live, okay? So this is like probably the #1 mistake. You know, I'll get an email from a client and they'll say, hey, you know, we decided to do Facebook Live. Yay, congratulations for taking the risk. Yeah, but nobody really showed up. Did you tell anybody? No. People just, aren't they just supposed to show up? You know, the Field of Dreams movie, that was totally false, okay? If you build it, people will not come. You just have to, you have to sell it. You have to promote it. You have to market your marketing, basically, okay? So what I recommend, you know, just a few tips. You can post an update on your page the week before. Say, hey, mark your calendar, this place, this time. You could post an update on your page the day before. You can actually, within Facebook pages, you can schedule a Facebook Live broadcast. And what will happen is it will post an update in the news feed. and people will see that update. But unfortunately, it doesn't provide a link that you can share. You know, that's the one sticking point with Facebook Live. What I normally do is I include a link to my page, to my Facebook page, and I just say, hey, click on my page, scroll down and see until you see my face talking. And then there you go. That's it. I haven't received hardly any emails. I have an email list of 21,000 people. I send out these emails all the time. I think maybe I got one that said, I couldn't find it. I couldn't find the video, you know? So it's fairly easy to just say, go to the page, scroll down. Other things, if you want to go kind of beyond the, you know, little extra points here, is just to include the date, time, and topic, and say a Facebook cover, you know? Send an email to your email list. I do that weekly. An email list it's hard to keep an email list interested in stuff, right? They join, then they never open the emails. So I feel like my strategy is to give people the good stuff every single week and drive them to Facebook Live. My email list, of course, is a great audience. This is a high quality audience that I've acquired over time. They're not just simple likers on Facebook or followers on Twitter. They've taken that extra step of joining my email list. So I definitely want to keep engaging them and encourage them to tell their friends about me, which they do via Facebook Live, okay? And then tweet about it immediately. You could do Instagram, you know, basically just let people know when you're going live. Number 5, make an outline for your broadcast, okay? I do this all the time, and that's how David has often been impressed with, oh, you seem so comfortable, look like you know what we're talking about. and I have a sheet of paper that I hang. In fact, this is, well, I can't show you because there's no video, but it's basically a piece of paper with an outline on it, and I have a structure. I introduce the topic or event. I introduce myself. I have interview questions, or in my case, it's bullet points. You know, here are 3 things you need to know about X, Y, or Z. Here they are, bum, 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 bum. And I just kind of riff, I go off on that. I just have a bullet point, a sentence that a point I'm trying to make, and I may add, you know, a couple minutes to each point. And then I tell people what's next. I think this is something that nonprofits often forget. They'll go live, but then they won't tell people what is next. If someone sees a horse coming off of a, you know, like an abused horse coming into an animal sanctuary for the first time, I mean, you know, that's such a perfect opportunity to say, you know, if you want to support this horse, you can donate. And of course, there's a donate feature within Facebook Live. So always tell people what's next. If you want to learn more, go here. If you want to join and get, I always say, if you want to get weekly notifications about my Hump Day Coffee Breaks, here's the link to subscribe, and you'll just get an email every week with topics, you know. So always ask for, tell people what's next. Respond to comments throughout the broadcast. Ask for follows throughout the broadcast. I'll get into that in just a second. Make sure that your bandwidth is healthy, okay? If you go live and you have a couple of bands here and there, it's going to stop. And if you have a great crowd of, like, you know, 200 people, and all of a sudden just bails, that's not a good thing. So try and use Wi-Fi if you can inside a house. It does require a lot of bandwidth, I hate to say, because it is live streaming video. It's not like I'm uploading video, which is less intensive on the bandwidth. A live video is constantly feeding information, real time. So it just requires a lot more. Wi-Fi is going to be better for this, you know, unless you use Verizon. That announcement was paid for by Verizon. No, I'm just kidding. Verizon, Sprint, doesn't really matter. Wi-Fi is usually better. Write a compelling description, okay? Make the topic clear, include a benefit in the description, okay? I always say, you know, 3 things you need to know about X, or how to do this, you know, so people, they look at it, oh, I need to know how to do that. Oh, wow, I never thought of that. That's something I need to know about, right? Keep it really brief. The shorter, the better with your description, and you only have like a sentence or maybe even half a sentence in terms of space. Number 8, this is actually the biggest tip for Facebook Live if you're trying to get more reach, if you're trying to reach more people on Facebook. Every time you respond to commenters, and there's things you can do to actually get them riled up. You want to get them riled up, commenting, liking, hearting, anger, whatever it is. You want them to do something. You want the keyboard, they want them typing, okay? So I like to call out commenters by name. You know, hey, Mary's here. Mary's got a question, blah, blah, blah. I read her question. You know, does that make sense? I'll also ask questions. You know, how many people have experienced this? And people, oh, yeah, I did. You know, sometimes it's easier if I say it like this. If I say, you know, yes or no, have you ever done this? You know, yes, no, yes, no. That's so much easier for people to participate. So I'm lowering the barrier to entry by just asking a simple yes or no question. And by way of that comment, their friends are suddenly getting pinged. You know, David is live right now watching John Haydon, and they see that in the news feed. Not all their friends, but, you know, the closest friends in the network and the people that are probably most likely to be interested in the topic. That's how Facebook is, the algorithm is tending to function, okay? Read comments. Actually, my sister-in-law, she sells essential oil. So this is my brother's wife. And she was on Facebook Live last night, and I just happened to catch her. And I was commenting, other people was commenting, and she wasn't responding at all. And then only after, she sent me a message and she said, she gave me the answer to my comment. And I was like, you gotta respond during. You don't have to type. You won't be able to type, in fact, when you're doing Facebook Live, especially if you're using an iPhone. You just can't do it. Just read the comment and reply. Read the comment, reply. You can always go back in later and reply to each comment, you know, typing whatever your comments, right? Say thank you. This is probably one of the most important things, is to thank people. Thank you so much for coming here. You guys are great. This is all about you. The more you do that, I recently just finished Dale Carnegie's book, right? How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm sure you guys know that book. In the book, he talks about appreciation, expressing appreciation and praising people. Wow, great. So even when someone gives an idea, I say, Barbara has an idea here. Do X, Y, or Z. Oh, Barbara, that's a great tip. I love it. So creative. Who else? Then people are like, wow, I want to get that compliment too. I'm going to come up with a cool idea, right? I mean, so you kind of get people engaged, really engage them as you would in a discussion or a dialogue, okay? Ask for follows too. You can simply say, guys, thanks for coming. Don't forget, hit the follow button, and you'll get notified on Facebook each time I publish a broadcast, okay? Me personally, I don't do that because I would rather have them join the email list. So I usually say, if you want to get notifications, go to johnhaydon.com, blah, blah, blah. And and I put the link in the description. So that usually helps out. And always end with a call to action. I say, join the newsletter. You could say, like the page, register for an event, any other call to action that you want. If there's a free giveaway thing, you can even say, if you ever use coupon codes to promote stuff, you could say, hey, here's a coupon code. One promotion idea I've been doing recently, and David's, I think, seen a couple, is I say, at the beginning, I say, I'm going to pick one person to win 3 months of access to webinars that I have. And I say, it's a random person, totally random. I'll do that at the end. So then people are like, okay, I'm going to hang on. At the same time, if that's the only value I have, I shouldn't be doing Facebook Live, okay? I have to have real value that I'm giving people above and beyond that, right? But that just kind of gets people committed to clicking on the link and maybe showing up for a chance to get something. Share the recording. So send a follow-up email. I send a follow-up. Basically, my rhythm is every week. So I use drip email. Every Wednesday, I send an email to 21,000 people, okay? And I say, hey, here's today's topic, blah, 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 click here. I send the same email, literally the same email, on a Friday to anyone who didn't open the email on Wednesday, okay? So if people didn't open the email, then they're going to get another email. So they get 2 emails if they don't open the first one. The second one says, this Wednesday we discussed blah, 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 blah. Here's a link to the recording. Don't miss out. So I'm talking about the topic on Wednesday, introducing it, and then following up after. So it's basically wrapping the whole email Facebook thing together. It's like, if you remember, I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember the Reese's peanut butter cup commercial, right? One person's walking down the hallway in school, eating peanut butter out of a jar. I have no idea why they would do that. And then there's another person walking down the hallway with a candy bar, eating. Of course, they bump into each other and they're a little upset, but then they realize, hey, this is better together. You know, so Facebook and email is really like a Reese's Pieces. It's much better when you kind of link them together like that. But yeah, share the recording. You could also go back if you publish the recording on your page. What I do is I have probably at this point I have at least 50 to 100 Facebook Live videos, and I can go to my page. I can log in and look at insights, kind of the analytics on the videos, and I can just go back and say, well, which ones are the top ones? And then I can simply just reshare them on the page again and again and again. I can also recycle the video, right? So I take the video. When I finish a Facebook Live broadcast, it gets saved to my phone. There's another piece of software called UBS. There are a couple of other competitors where you can actually broadcast from a desktop. And that's great because you can actually share slides and do a lot more than you can through an iPhone. There are limitations with it, and you just have to set it up and make sure things are working. And often it doesn't really tell you, I can't really be clear like when I'm actually live, whereas Facebook tells you, bing, you're live. Okay, great, I'm on, you know. So save the video, create short snippets. So for example, if you do a video on here are the 3 things you need to know about X, then go back and edit that video into 3 shorter videos about what, you know, covering each item within that topic. You can also transcribe the videos for blog posts or ebooks or other content. So I use a service called Transcribe Me, and you take an audio file, you upload it, and it transcribes it, boom, you get it, and then you get a lot of extra junk. You have to do some editing to have anything useful, but it's much better than, you know, so it just turns it for cheap money into text. There's a worksheet that you guys can use. Okay, I'll send David the slides later on tonight. And this is a worksheet you can use. Just what's your compelling topic? How are you going to promote the broadcast? What's the outline of our broadcast? And what are we going to do to follow up? And then are there any key moments in that video that we can use for other shorter videos, you know? So it's, you know, this is basically meant to, you know, kind of get everything on one piece of paper so you at least have some sort of plan, okay? So that is all I got. I think I'm under 20 minutes. I don't know.
Oh, you're doing great. You're doing great, John.
Really? Okay.
Yes, indeed. You've just hit 26 minutes, so that leaves us 14 minutes for questions and things to stay within the 40 that David has assigned.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'm greedily going to claim the right to ask the first couple of questions, and then we'll go to Adrian's been tracking questions in the chat, and then hopefully we'll add it, open it up. So we can relay questions from the chat. Adrian, if you can just kind of summarize them, but then if the person who asked the question wants to amplify it a little bit, you can go ahead and unmute and ask your question out loud. But John, I know you do presentations live and in person. I think you've probably done keynote addresses. How are those skills different from what you do when you do a Facebook Live broadcast? Can you compare the two?
Okay, so if you're speaking in front of someone at a conference, if you're live in person speaking, of course, you know, it's live, right? You can't, you know, it's not a recording, it's not, you know, a dress rehearsal. It's a live situation. I think what's different is that I was surprised at how much lighting I needed. You need a pretty good amount of light from a few different angles. So when I do the Facebook Live broadcast, I have one big, bright, it's almost like it's a huge, I don't know what they call it, LED light that is really meant for making a film, okay? I have that about maybe 15 feet away from me, so it's not a hard shadow. And then I have an overhead light in the room, and then I have another light off to my left or my right. I don't want to have light shining straight at me because then there's a reflection. I wear glasses, so it's like, it just looks horrible. So the light's always off to the left. The big bright one is off to the left, and I might have another small little table lamp right kind of closer on my left-hand side, you know? The other thing is that you have to project. just like you would if you were on stage. I mean, honestly, I do public speaking. I'm not an expert for sure. I'm sure you guys could teach me a few things. But I know that when I get on that stage, I have to really put it out there. I got to put some energy out there. I thought that video would be different because it's closer, intimate, recorded, smaller, that kind of thing. But you really have to put it out there. So my what I do before I go live is I get into the mindset. I spend probably about 15 minutes, you know, reading my outline, getting ready, but really kind of focusing like, okay, we're going to do this thing, reviewing the, you know, just getting prepared, whatever that means. You know, for me, I'm a Buddhist, so sometimes I chant, I'm going to kick some butt today. And, you know, other people might have a different thing, but the key is to like bring up the spirit, bring the goods if you're going to be there, you know?
And also, you told me that usually you're actually just broadcasting from your iPhone, but you also talked about giving feedback on the comments as they're coming in. Do you have another computer that's tuned in where you can see the chat more easily? Yes. Or
yes,
okay.
I have my laptop, so I'll pick up my laptop and I'll kind of just read through the comments. Sometimes I can see this comments on the screen, and if I gently kind of, you know, scroll up or swipe up on the screen itself, I can read them, but oftentimes I miss them. Sometimes if it's a, you know, if I feel like people are leaving tons of comments, I might open up the laptop and just kind of go through them just to make sure I'm not missing anyone.
I see. Okay.
You know.
So Adrian, why don't you relay some of the questions that have been popping up in the chat for the past few minutes? And you can fit in some of your own too. That's okay.
Okay,
that's fair game.
One of the questions I thought was interesting, they wanted to know, can one restrict who joins a Facebook Live broadcast?
Yes, you can. However, you can only do that with a profile, okay? With a personal profile. You can say friends or a certain group of friends. With a Facebook page, at this point, at least my page and, you know, the nonprofits that I see, it's either public or not. That's the only option. It's only public. So you can't, but after that, once you publish the video and you reshare it, then at that point, of course, you can narrow down the audience. I only want to target fans who speak English or fans in the city, that sort of thing.
Okay, great. Can I use Facebook Live for an online or hybrid course? Would you recommend that?
I would not recommend it. I'm sorry to say that. Because Facebook Live, I mean, when I hear like an online course, I hear slides and, you know, a little bit more interaction like chat function, polls, and that sort of thing. And Facebook Live is kind of bare bones. It's really about, you know, imagine a person, I'm live on TV and here we are at the unveiling, blah, blah, blah. It's basically a camera, a glorified camera, and I wouldn't recommend it to do any sort of training. Well, training that you're trying to really make professional looking. That's just my personal feeling about it. You know?
Okay, and can the Facebook Live broadcasting be converted to a personal recording to be viewed later? And if so, how?
Yes, it can definitely be done, and it's usually saved automatically. So when you broadcast, you click finish when you're done, and as soon as you hit finish, you'll have an option to save to phone. It will just say save to phone, you just save it, and that's it. And then, of course, from that point, you can edit it and do whatever you need to do.
Does it also give you the option to provide a link so that you can share it with friends and family?
Yes.
Outside of Facebook?
Outside of Facebook. But once they click on the link, depending upon the privacy setting, it'll probably prompt them, hey, log in your Facebook account or join.
Okay, another question is, can you talk a little bit about Facebook Live for profit organizations? For example, how do you apply Facebook Live and generate a stream of income?
Oh, that's great. Okay, so I think the key for me, Facebook Live is I am a for-profit business, okay? What I use it for is basically top of the funnel, so to speak. I wanted, first of all, two factors. One is drive my current email subscribers, who may or may not be customers, to join the video and engage, to keep their attention, keep them interested, and pitch stuff to them during the Facebook Live video. But also growing the email list as well. So I always say, hey, if you've seen this for the first time because a friend is chatting and you want to get weekly notifications, join the email list. when they're on the email list, of course, you know, I could sell them, you know, I can basically sell them from there. So I sell online courses, consulting, stuff like that. And so, yes, those are the same thing. But for me, the underpinning is value. If I just said, hey, I'm here on the broadcast and I'm give you a news about my business and where I'm at with my number of sales this month and the really cool talent that I have and how handsome I am, then, you know, probably nobody's going to show up, right? But if I say, here's something for you, then people are, okay, cool. It's basically what's in it for me is the ultimate question, right? We have to answer.
Okay, great. You mentioned about making the snippets or little small videos from your actual Facebook Live video. Is that done through Facebook, or is that a third-party video editing software that you use for that?
Yes. So basically, it's a third-party video editing tool. I happen to use something called ScreenFlow, which is like a screencast recording type of tool for Macs. You could use Camtasia. You can use iMovie. The point is, when you download the video, you have an MP4 file. So you can slice and dice it however you want and edit it however you want in any video editing or production tool once it's on your desktop.
John, one small interruption.
Yes.
Unless you're going to share something visually, why don't you turn off the screen sharing
Oh,
so that
I'm
we
sorry.
can all,
Okay,
we
cool.
can sort of see the crowd here.
Sorry. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Not a big deal.
How do I turn it off?
It's
Stop share.
Yep.
Yeah.
There we go.
Figured it out. Great. Oh, yeah, I like this view actually. By the way, the grid view is cool.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
What is the best way to convert Facebook Live viewers into actual lead capture prospects?
Oh, yeah. So have the value, right? So when I look at my email list, I have several ways that I'm, building my list. And I always notice on a Wednesday when I do a Facebook Live broadcast, I always get a huge spike in subscribers, okay, email subscribers. And along with getting weekly notifications, they're going to get all this other cool stuff. And I remind them of that, of course, in the email follow-up. I also have, what do you call, I guess you could call them lead magnets or carrots. There's so many terms for these things. But hey, here's a free ebook. Click here to download it. And you can always include a link in your description. What I do is if a Facebook Live video, if a broadcast goes off really well, in other words, if there are lots of comments, lots of views, and its performance in terms of engagement is much higher than my average Facebook Live video, I will invest in Facebook ads to push that video out to more people. The fact of high engagement, to me, is proof that, hey, this is kind of hitting a nerve or striking a nerve. People are interested. I'm going to broadcast this out to more people. So I'm basically taking advantage of the momentum, so to speak, with a little bit of money in ads, maybe even $5 or $10, and that's it. And I noticed that definitely those two methods are really great at growing the list.
What is a great way for you to engage your viewers to your video while you're actually going Facebook Live so that you can have them ask questions?
Great. Okay. So the first thing is to basically build up an expectation. And when someone does comment, make them feel like, I'm so amazing. I didn't expect to feel this way. I just asked a question. And when John responded, he said, hey, Adrian, oh, that's a great question. Listen, Adrian, she's in Florida. She's asking this. Right? And then, thank you so much, Adrian. Who else? Oh, Barbara has something to say. So I think there's the praise aspect, there's the appreciation, there's the gratitude, and there's literally just calling people out. I swear, I think, I don't know how many people just show up to hear their name heard, kind of like called out, like, hey, David, yeah, awesome, But I think just praising people, making them feel good, that gets them commenting more if you answer their questions. And ask questions too. That's really important, is to ask questions. One thing I always say is, or I try and always say, is I say, hey, we're here to talk about this topic, but you guys are the experts. You guys are in the trenches doing this stuff, so you probably have a great idea too. I want to hear about it. Post it in the comment. What do you have to say? And I even point at the camera. What do you have to say? And, okay, what do I have to say? So it's that sort of engagement. You have to call people out, read their comments, say thanks, just make them feel like amazing that they showed up, and just keep going, It's fun. It's actually really fun.
Okay, one thing that we see a lot with Facebook Live is people just do a standard video where they're filming something. What would you talk about when you're doing a video and you modify it, you toggle it between the internal selfie view and the external non-selfie view, just like you would do on your cell phone?
Sorry, I missed that part. I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Yes, they want to know about when you're doing Facebook Live, many of the videos are just one shot. And they want to know about using Facebook Live to go from the selfie view where I'm talking and then I flip it around and I'm showing you a concert.
Oh, yeah, sure. So you can actually flip the camera around during the broadcast even. So there is a kind of a, you know, like on an iPhone, if you want to flip the camera around to take a picture, it's the same function in Facebook Live.
Okay.
So you can flip it around in the middle of a broadcast.
They want to know, how do you do a dry run so that the rest of the world doesn't see your video, or you can record it, save it, and do you recommend that?
If you're really, you know, kind of hesitant, I would recommend it if it makes you feel more comfortable. But honestly, there really is no need, because what I would do is the first time you do a broadcast, if you're a little anxious, just don't promote it, right? And then you go live, and if you feel like, this is horrible, it's a total disaster, just delete it 5 minutes later, and then, you know, try again. I think that's totally legit. People understand that, oh, you deleted it. If someone judges you, you delete it. You can't delete stuff on social media. Someone will say that, and you're like, just whatever. I think it's perfectly fine to mess up. In fact, that's really the only way to learn, is to kind of embrace that attitude.
Okay. And someone asked, would you be willing to share one of your outlines in a Word document? They would love to see what you use to structure your thoughts, and also the link for your brother's videos that he does, if you're willing to share that. So
absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. David, can you just follow up with an email just to remind me, like, hey, slides plus this plus that?
Okay. Well, we've got a recording, so we'll have a record of this. I do think that Facebook Live is a very significant opportunity for speakers, and we need to learn how to use it effectively.
I agree.
So thank you for sharing that, John.
Well, thank you.